Alright, so Demon God versus Impatient, or Demon God and Musclehead versus Impatient, because they're pretty much the same passive. So this is my old Orceric army from Sakurajima. It has probably not seen the light of day for about a year now, and it's the one with Impatient, and then Impatient got swapped for Demon God in Faybreak. But now we're going to be testing if all these attack passives that we are stacking now are running into so much diminishing returns that Impatient might just be the better passive. And there's also a couple of things with Moonlord's moving hands where your pals miss so much that it might just be better to be attacking more often than to deal more damage. So we're going to be doing a couple of fights against Rio Ultra and Moonlord Master and just get a sort of comparison time for these two armies. So this is the Impatient army, going to be showing one fight they did against Rio Ultra, and you can see the average time up to the right that the Impatient army was better, but just by 2 seconds, so it really didn't matter a whole lot. But it is just this white passive being very competitive with this Demon God passive or Musclehead, because you could just swap for Musclehead instead of Demon God. But these are the two armies I had, so that's just what I ended up testing. So you can see the first thing here is that the first wave of attacks for this Impatient army, it will bring Rio to just above half health. And then the second wave of attack will bring him to this threshold where he starts to change phase. So adding more attack to this army won't really make a difference because you're not going to be getting to the phase change in one wave of attacks. So you can see now they're attacking their second wave of attack and you're getting just to this phase change, maybe a little bit of overkill damage. But the Demon God army just ended up, instead of bringing him to like 51% with the first wave, they brought him down to 40, but they still used that second wave of attacks when he was at 0%. And now you can see they immediately are using the second Holy Burst wave, or their third Holy Burst wave here, after the phase change, while the Demon God army would have waited a couple of more seconds to use that Holy Burst phase, and they still wouldn't really kill him in just those 15 Holy Bursts in the second phase. So really what ended up happening was this Impatient army, just by using their attacks a little bit more often, ended up with this like 2-second better kill time. So while it's not a huge difference, it does mean that like it's a white passive against a rainbow passive on these raid armies being very competitive with the Demon God passive. And then here up to the right again is the average time for the Moonlord fight. So again, 3 fights with each army. And here the Demon God army ended up winning, but only marginally. And the Impatient army actually ended up having a faster fight. So that's the fight we're going to be watching right now. It is this Impatient army. And you can see again, the first wave of attacks is just enough to clear out one of these hands. And then they actually start sending a couple of Dark Wisps up towards the head. So this is also going to be the same for the Demon God army and the Impatient army. And then the Impatient army, they're just going to be attacking a bit more often again. So really what ends up happening here, similar to the Rio fight, is that since the Demon God army is just going to be doing overkill damage, they're going to be using their like first 3 attacks on one hand or the head and then changing target. And then it just means that when the eyes are closed and they might accidentally miss, the Impatient army is going to be attacking a little bit more often. But the Demon God army, once they do hit, do actually get like a little bit more damage done. So even if like they might miss and then have to wait a while, it doesn't matter if like half of them miss because just hitting like 7 beam slicers is enough. So again here, very equal times, only 6-second difference. And this is a pretty long fight as well. It's a little bit longer than the Rio fight, but they're still like pretty much the same kill time here. And the Impatient army, when it does get the hits, it feels like it's a little bit better. They are comparable, like pretty much the same kill time, a little bit worse on the Impatient one when it does miss as well. So a little bit luck-based, RNG-based, would probably have needed to do like up to 10 or even 100 fights to get a more accurate representation. But I felt like this was accurate enough to kind of see that Impatient, being a white passive, being very competitive with Demon God, slightly better against Rio, a little bit worse against Moonlord. And then against a little bit unfair to test against Xenolord, I felt, just because I didn't want to surgery table away the Demon God for Musclehead or something on my main army. So you're losing that 5% defense or something. But overall, just pretty equal, all things considered. So you don't have to breed these like sort of perfect Demon God armies. You could just breed for Legend or even just Ferocious if you don't care about defense with that Palworld strategy that we have now. Like you're perfectly fine just bringing it to the surgery table, adding Serenity, Musclehead, Ferocious and Impatient, and you have a pretty good raid pal going already. So that's it for this comparison video. Thanks for watching.